Hi there and welcome to Tech Life, a channel where I aim to review everything from selfie sticks to laptops to IDs for coding, video editing, software for producing thumbnails, essentially anything tech related. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you have anything that you think I should review, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to review that product. Welcome to part 8 of this beginner's JavaScript tutorial. In this short video, we'll be looking at conditions and operators. Most programming languages utilize these concepts. In JavaScript, as with other programming languages, there are comparison operators, logical operators, and conditional structures. Okay, so let's start off by looking at comparison operators. And the best way to do that is to fire up Visual Studio Code. And for those of you who have been following along with the tutorials, you'll recognize this output.js file and this homepage.html. Basically, the homepage.html file calls out to the .js file and all the JavaScript code that we've been writing previously has sat in this output.js file, and we are going to continue to do that. So we're looking at comparison operators. The first one we're going to look at is the equals operator, and we can start off by creating a variable. We're going to say the year. This variable is called going to be called year. So the year of our Lamborghini release date, I'm going to say, is 1968. And so here, when we use a single equals operator, we're not making a comparison. We're not saying is year equal to 1968. What we're saying here is place the value 1968, the number, place that within this variable. So the variable year will contain the number 1968, 1968. So that's a single equals. And in order to compare two values, we use a double equal sign in JavaScript. And I'm going to put this out to the console. So I'm going to say console.log, open and close parentheses, and we're going to say is year equal to 1968. So let's run this code. So I'm going to do Control S to save it. Head over to the home page. I'm going to do Control F5. And then we're going to do F12 for the dev tools. And as you can see here, we get a true value returned. And the reason we get true is because a year does actually equal to 1968 because we set the value of a year to 1968 at the top over here. So if I change this to 69, and now I'm saying is year equal to 1968, and obviously it's not because we've set it to 1969. Control S, F5, F12, and now we've got a value of false. Cool. Let's set that back to 68. Okay. In JavaScript, you have the single equals, or you have a double equals, and you also have a triple equals. Copy that, paste that, and so you have equals. That's not a joke. This is actually true, and we can see the difference between these two. So let's Control S that. Home page. Control F5, and let's see what happens now. F12. We still get true and true. So the year is 1968. We set the year, the value of year to 1968. We do a double equals. We're saying is year equal to 1968. This is true. It says yep.
is true. And then again, we look at year and we say, is year equal to 1968? And again, it says true. Okay, so you're probably thinking, what's the difference between the two? Let me see if I can't show that. First off, we will comment this code out. And I'm just going to run that again. Control S, F5, F12. So it's still true. Is year equal to 1968? Yes. Now, if I put 1968 in double quotes, now I'm saying is year equal to 1968, but this is a string. So Control S. Oops, cancel. Just refresh this, F5, and it still returns a true. So using double equals, it doesn't concern itself with the type. It makes a comparison, and it says, yeah, this looks okay. Year is equal to 968. If I uncomment this code, and we do that same comparison, and I've still got a number stored in the year variable, but we're comparing it to a string now. Control this, refresh this, control. So now the double equal still returns a true because it doesn't care what type of variable it is, or the type of the data that it's comparing it to, whereas the triple equals does care about the data type, so it's returning a false. It's saying no, the number year, sorry, the number that's contained within the variable year 1968 is not the same as this string 1968. So that's the difference between the two. Double equals overlooks the fact of the data types, and whereas the triple equals does take the data type into consideration. More than not, often than not, one should try to use the triple equals. Okay, so that is the equals operator, and there are other operators in JavaScript. Let's get rid of this, and let's clean this up. So we have the greater than operator. So here we are saying assign the number 1968 to the variable year, and then compare whether year is greater than 1968. And it's saying false, which is true, because 1968 is not greater than 1968. We also have less than, so now we're saying the value contained in year, is that less than 1968? And again, the value is false. You can also compare greater or equal to. So now we're going to compare these values. We're going to say the value contained in year, is that greater than or equal to 1968? And this time it's saying it's true. So it's doing two comparisons there. It's saying, is it greater than or is it greater than or equal to? And it's equal to 1968. So that's why it returns a true. And we can also say, is it less than or equal to? And again, we expect to see the value true. It is equal to, so again, it's true. Okay, so we can also check to see if a year is not equal to this number by putting an exclamation mark just before this equal sign. So now it's saying, is year not equal to 1968? And that's false, because year is equal to 1968. I'll change this to 1969. Now we're saying, is year not equal to 1968? And now it returns a true. Notice that all of these comparison return values are Boolean values, so they're either true or false. And these Boolean values returned by the comparison statements are extremely useful, especially when it comes to using them with conditional statements. So we're going to look at conditional statements next. The first one we're going to look at is called the if statement. And the first thing we need to do here is to create a couple of variables. We're going to create a variable called total price. And the second variable we're going to create is get a loan. And then we're going to initialize these variables. Initializing variables means that we are going to set default values to them before those variables get used. So I'm going to give total price of value of 200,000. And we're also going to initialize get a loan. And this will be, it's going to be a string, and we're going to say NO, so no. Okay, so quick recap. We declare two variables, total price and get a loan. We initialize those variables, total price to 200k and get a loan to no. We could have done it all on one line each for those. We could have put an equal sign after this and initialize that to 200k and that to no. But I think this is easier to read, especially for beginners. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is use the keyword if with open and close parentheses, and within these parentheses we're going to put in a comparison statement, and we're going to compare the value of total price, and we're going to say if total price is greater than 200, no sorry, if it's greater than 150,000, then execute any code that sits within these braces. And the only thing that's going to sit in these braces is we're going to change the value of get a loan. We're going to change it from no to yes. So essentially what we're saying here is if the total price is greater than 150,000, you're going to need to get a loan because you probably haven't got enough money in the bank. And then we're going to do a simple console.writeLine, console.log even. We're going to say, do we need to get a loan? A question mark. And then I'm going to use a plus sign, which means I'm going to be attempting to concatenate a value to the string, and the value I'm going to concatenate is the value that's stored within get a loan. So I can copy and paste this over to here. Let's get rid of those spaces. We just need a semicolon there. I think that looks good. Control S that to save it. F5 to refresh this. Do we need to get a loan? Yes, you do, because total price value is 200k. Okay, let's change this. I'm going to set this to 140k. 140. So now I'm going to now I've assigned the the value of 140,000 to total price. When it comes to this if statement, it's going to say is 140,000 greater than 150,000. That's a no, so that's going to be false. If the condition is false, then this code will not get run, and the only piece of code that will get run is everything after these two braces. Let's see that in action. Control S, refresh, and now we don't need to get a loan because we've probably got enough money in the bank to buy the Lamborghini. Cool, so that's the if statement. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is the if-else statement. And that means we're going to change this around slightly. We are still going to declare get a loan, but this time we're not going to initialize get a loan. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to reset this to 200,000, and we're saying if total price is greater than 150,000, then set the value get a loan to yes, and then we're going to use the keyword else here. Else, oops, run the code within these parentheses, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to set get a loan to no. No, and then after all that code is run, and then we're just going to output the value contained within get a loan with this string concatenated to it. So let's just go through this again. What did we do? We still have the two variables declared, total price and get a loan. We've only initialized total price, and now we're saying, using the if statement, we're saying if total price is greater than 150,000, then set the value get a loan to yes, else set the value of get a loan to no, and then output the results. So we're going to save that, and we're going to refresh this, and the result is, do we need to get a loan? The answer is yes, and the answer is yes because total price is greater than 150,000. So this part of the code was run. When we made the comparison, it was true, so this was run. Let's change the code slightly to make this false. So I'm going to set this to 140 again. 1, 2, 3. So now total price is 140,000. It's going to come to this if statement. It's going to say, is 140,000 greater than 150,000? No. Okay, so don't run this code. Come down to here, run that code. Control S. F5. Do we need to get a loan? No. Cool. So next I'm going to show you the if else if statement, and for this again we're going to use two variables. The first variable is total price. Total price. I'm going to set that to 200k. 1, 2, 3. The second variable this time is going to be method. I can spell method properly, of payments. I'm not going to initialize that, and we're going to use the keyword if again, and this time we're going to say if total price is greater or equal to 200k, 3, then do something, and that something is going to sit within these braces, and we are simply going to say method of payment equals a string, and that string is going to be use your savings and also get a loan. I'm going to end that statement with a semicolon. So that's the first if statement, and then we're going to use the keyword else, and we're going to use the if keyword again, and this time we're able to also use another comparison statement. So here we've used a comparison statement. We've compared the total price to 200k, and here I'm going to use another comparison statement. This time I'm going to say total price is total price greater equal to 150k. 2, 3, and if that's true, then run whatever code is sitting within those braces. And again, I'm just going to set the value of this variable, and I'm going to set it to use your savings. And then lastly, we're going to say else. And with the else statement, we don't need a comparison statement. We just run some code, and that code is going to be setting this the value of method of payment to use cash with an exclamation mark. Cool. And the very last thing we're going to do is output something to the console.log. And this is going to be a string. What can we say? How are you going to pay for your new Lambo? And I'm going to concatenate that onto whatever value is sitting in this payment of method of variable. Copy and paste. Control C, Control V, and I'm going to finish that off with a semicolon. Cool. I think that looks okay. So total price is 200k. If total price is greater than equal to 200k, is going to come through to here. So Control S. How are you going to pay for your new Lambo? Use your savings and also get a loan. So this part of the code ran because the value is over 200,000 or 200,000 at least. So now let's change this to 160k and let's see what happens now. I'm hoping this part of the code runs because it's going to come to here. It's going to come to here first. It's going to say total price is greater than equal to 200,000 now because it's 160k. Else if total price is greater than equal to 150,000, it's greater than 150,000 because it's sitting at 160k. So we should see this run. Control S, F5. How are you going to pay for your new Lambo? Use your savings. Cool. And lastly, we're going to knock this down to 100k. Control S. 5. How are you going to pay for your new Lambo? Use cash, baby. Yep. Cool. Next, we're going to look at the switch statement. The switch statement in JavaScript is a conditional statement, and that is used to execute a block of code based on the value of an expression. There are a couple of keywords that are used: the switch, case, and break. So let's first create a variable. We're going to use the keyword let, and the variable that we're going to create is called total price. I'm going to initialize this variable to 200k, and then we're going to use the keyword switch and a couple of parentheses, and I'm going to place that total price variable in here, and then we have a couple of curly braces, and now within these braces we can put our case statements. So if this first case is equal to 200,000, then run the code within this block, and I'm simply going to output to the console.log. You will need to take out a loan, semicolon, and then we use the keyword break and another semicolon. Cool. I can create another case. So if total price is equal to 150k, then do whatever code is going to sit in this block, and I'm just going to copy and paste this. You will not need to take out a loan. Cool. Let's see this in action. Control S. You will need to take out a loan, and that's because the value contained within total price is 200,000, and when we evaluate this expression in the switch statement, the total price matches the first case of 200,000. We can change this to 150k, 3, Control S again. You will not need to take out a loan now, so this code runs. We can add a default statement to the our switch statements. So we use a keyword default, if I can spell it correctly, and again we use the colons, and then we can place code within this block. Just going to copy and paste. Change the text in here. I'm just going to say check your bank. Check your bank balance. So the function of the default block of code is if none of these cases are matched or met, then the default code is run. So if I say 160, total price is now 160. When this switch statement is evaluated, total price is neither 200,000 or 150,000. So the default block of code will run. So we Control S to save that, and we refresh, and that default block of code is run. So that is a simple switch statement. Okay, so the last thing we're going to look at is something called the ternary operator. The ternary operator is essentially an immediate if function. Those of you familiar with other programming languages may well have come across the immediate if. And the immediate if is the same as an if else statement. An immediate if programming function evaluates a condition and returns one of two possible values. Let's have a look at this ternary operator in code. Firstly, we'll create a variable, and we do that by using the keyword let, and the variable I'm going to create is total price. I'm going to assign a value of 200,000 to that variable. Okay, we're going to create another variable, and this time it's going to be called loan required. And we're going to assign whatever's returned in the next part of this code to this loan required variable. We are going to firstly compare the value of total price. We're saying, is total price greater than 150,000? I'm going to use a special character here, a question mark, and then I'm going to have a string here. So this is the ternary operator, and what we're doing here, we are comparing total price. I'm saying is total price greater than 150,000. If it is, then this whatever string is going to be typed in here will be saved into this variable. So I'm going to put need a loan, and then we use a colon. So if this evaluates to true, then this string will be saved into this variable. If this evaluates to a false, then the string contained here will be saved into the loan required. And I'm just going to put no loan required. End that line with a semicolon, and I'm just going to output this I'm going to output the value of loan required to the console. So I'm going to say console.log, and then we'll just put loan required. Control C, Control V, and a semicolon. Control S to save this, and head over to browser, F5, need a loan. We need a loan because total price is 200,000. So total price is greater than 150,000. This evaluates to true. Therefore, this first part of the ternary operator is executed in that this value is stored in here. Let's change this. So total price now is 100,000. Is total price greater than 150,000? No. So this is false. We should see no loan required. Control S and F5 to refresh. No loan required. Excellent. Cool. Okay, I think that's it for this video. A quick recap on what we looked at. Firstly, we looked at operators. We looked at the two different types of comparison operators. We said the double equals did not take into account the data types of variables when making the comparison, whereas the triple equals did take into account the data types. Next, we looked at the greater than and less than operators, and then we looked at the greater and equal to and less than equal to operators. We said that the comparisons resulted in Boolean values being returned, and we looked at how we could make use of these Boolean values in conditional statements. And we also then went on to look at the if statement, the if else, and then the if else if statement, and then the switch statement, and then finally just now we've been looking at the ternary operator. So we packed in quite a lot into this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Maybe even consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.